Right, Nick? Good. Welcome everybody. Welcome members of the public. I don't believe we have anyone from the press here tonight. Welcome to our council meeting, Monday the 18th of March. Attendance. We have everybody here except Councillor Goss. Table of contents is as is. Acknowledgement of country. We acknowledge and pay our respects to the Tasmanian Aboriginal community as traditional and original owners and continuing custodians of this land on which we gather today, and acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. Do we have any declarations of pecuniary interest?
I have 43.3.
I've put mine down on here, so I don't know what's specific.
Yes, you need to, can you say that out to Gail, please?
I haven't seen anything in there specifically, but I'm just disclosing in case.
Oh, okay, all right, yep. I do have 9, the questions on notice. Right wording, isn't it? Yes, public questions on notice. There's 2 questions there. Nobody else has anything? Okay, confirmation of our minutes of our ordinary meeting, Monday the 19th of February. Councillor Andrews and Councillor McCullough. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Confirmation of the minutes from our special council meeting held Thursday the 29th of February. Councillor Terrett and Councillor Andrews. All those in favour? Against? Carried. The date of our next council meeting is Monday the 22nd of April. Council committees, the confirmation of their minutes. Councillor Terrett and Councillor Lambert. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Now, those recommendations from those council committees. Campbelltown District Forum have a recommendation around entrance signs, and the officer recommendation is that council take no action as Campbelltown has entrance signs, and these were approved by the Department of State Growth. Councillor Adams and Councillor Archer. Any discussion? Councillor Andrews.
Yes, I'd like to speak to this one. It would be very nice if we could do something other than what the officer has suggested we do. There's been lots of chatter going on between the district committee at Campbelltown and the school would really like to get involved in this project of adding a bit more information to the entrance and exit signs, which has been a bone of contention with the Campbelltown committee for a long time. They say that they're pretty plain and don't get any information and don't speak to the people arriving and exiting Campbelltown to say thanks very much for coming or welcome or whatever. And they've got a teacher at the school who is really keen to get her students involved to design some artwork for the back of the signs. I'm not talking about the front, the back of the signs. And it would be really nice to encourage that community input.
Madam Mayor, perhaps what we could do if council wishes, we could actually, if they were to forward to us what they wish to do, we can ask State Growth what their view is, because ultimately the final decision will lie with State Growth.
Okay, that'd be terrific.
If you're happy to take that back to the committee, I think if they send something through, officers can actually ask that question, and if there's something can happen, it will need to come back to council for a final decision.
Okay.
So does this recommendation, that can still go ahead and that won't stop that happening?
It won't stop that from happening because it does need approval from State Growth.
Okay. Yes, Councillor Terrett.
I concur with what Councillor Andrews has on this. My only concern is notoriously state growth is extremely slow. And the school year might be finished by the time this occurs. It is an opportunity, and even to try to do some designs that maybe we could put on the back, maybe we do them on a piece of wood that we could then attach if they were then approved, because I don't want to hinder young people wanting to get involved with the town. And trying to get the high school and the community working together is sometimes a bit of a challenge. I'm just thinking of whether there's a way of doing this, and that's the only way I can think of is it actually be made at the side of it, and then that could be put on once the approval's granted. If it's not approved, then at least we could then do another sign in the closed area. But I'm just concerned knowing that state growth is notoriously slow. Yeah.
Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor. I support all of those comments. I think we should be trying our absolute best to work with the school, and if they're keen to do something, we should be embracing that. We only have to look at the amazing artwork that has at Avoca and other places now. Launceston City Council have got some great artwork happening. So I think we should be encouraging our young artists. And I agree with the idea of having perhaps something separate. And if state growth don't want to or don't feel that it's a worthy project, I think we could find somewhere within the town to embrace that piece of artwork or that information. We could find the right place for it to be, and we could make it a real celebration of our youth. I mean, we've got Youth Week coming up. It could be incorporated as part of Youth Week. We've got our art strategy and our youth strategy. I'm sure we can incorporate that into those two strategies as well. And I think there's a way that we could show that we are supporting the youth of our community by embracing this idea and encouraging it to happen.
Can I suggest we ask state growth if they can consider the underpass?
What a great idea.
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe it's a different project.
But that'd have to be a community decision.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll put the sorry, Councillor Adams.
Can I foreshadow another motion?
If it's only directly about this,
Yes.
yes. Councillor Adams.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just saying maybe state education would pay for some of this artwork as well, and maybe they would put some in because I don't mind involving the youth in these activities, but I think there's a very good sign there. I don't know about what we're going to add to it and whatever. We'll need to go through the processes of that, and I don't mind involving the school in this, but this is. Could become a costly exercise, and then we've got to get it through state growth to give it a tick. So, I don't, just, pulling things out and saying these are going to apply. We went through a process of getting the signs for each of the towns. We've gone through all that, and then we get something else thrown into it. This one's not good enough, and we're going to put something on it. Well, maybe other parts of the town might be a better proposition. So I'll support that.
Okay, I'll put the we should speak no. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against?
No.
There's 2 against.
I think
Oh,
three
3.
against.
Wait a minute. Hands up those against, please. Councillor Terrett, Councillor Brooks and Councillor Andrews. The motion's passed. Now, you wish to foreshadow a motion? It has to be directly linked to that.
Yes, but we've just countermanded it, so it's no use putting it.
That's fine. Okay, they also have, the Campbelltown District Forum have a motion around the closure of West Street, and the officer's recommendation is that Campbelltown District Forum be advised that West Street will remain open, has adequate signage and is still serviceable. There is a commitment to complete the repairs by the end of May 2024. Have a move in a second, Councillor Archer and Councillor McCullough. Any discussion? Councillor Terrett?
I still have, as the district committee has its real concerns about West Street. Recently there was a caravan expo down in the showground. A number of caravans were actually damaged as a result of West Street. Exposed aggregate that just hit the bottom of some of those things. If you go beyond any more than 20 or 30 kilometres down the street, it's a very unsafe road to be on. That maybe we do need some additional signage on that road, but it's probably one of our worst roads in the council area as a asphalted road, and really some more signage. If we aren't going to close this road, that we do some more signage to warn people about the hazardous nature of this particular road, if that's possible.
Yes, Manager.
The road's actually got traffic hazard ahead, loose stones and 40 kilometres an hour. I think we've got about 9 or 10 signs down through there now. I can't put anything leading into it on the state growth road to say that the road, what's happening on the side road. But as far as the road itself, and our staff are going through it, make sure the potholes are filled. Burrell have made the commitment to repair the road and have it done by the set date.
Councillor McCullough.
I was just going to say, can we get something better temporarily done? Because May is a long way away. We're in March at the moment, April, May, 8 weeks. Is there something we can do temporarily? With a bit, spend a day on it to get into some sort of more,
We spent a day on it last week. We actually topped everything up, make sure it's highway. Look, there is loose gravel on there as well, but that's 40 kilometre speed limit sort of recommended, so to speak, that road.
Councillor Andrews.
I think that probably the local district committee will feel much better getting the information that there's an end to this, and that Borough will finally said that they'll have it completed by the end of May. So there's a deadline on it now, and there never has been. So I think that that's positive.
Councillor Lambert.
Just for some clarification around Boral, was their original commitment to just repair the road when it was finished, when they had finished using it, or was there a maintenance schedule throughout that time that they've been using it? Because
There was a maintenance schedule as well. They actually done a lot of work on Macquarie Road where they've actually patched it and now they're committed now to actually repair that properly, dig it out and actually put it back in gravel and seal it. But maintenance-wise as well, it was all back on them. We've had numerous meetings with them. They've actually come to the board now that is their problem to fix.
excellent. So they've acknowledged that.
They've
Yeah,
acknowledged
good. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. The next recommendation from Campbelltown is about Blackburn Park, and the officer's recommendation is that it be noted that council officers are preparing a report for council's consideration. Councillor Terrace moving that. Councillor Adams seconding. Councillor Lambert.
Question. Do we have a date yet, or dates when the community meetings are going to be occurring regarding this plan?
This is about Blackburn Park.
Oh, sorry, I'm on the wrong one. My apologies. I've flipped the page. I'll hold that till next time. Sorry.
Okay, I'll put, yes, Brooke, Councillor Brooks.
I feel this, I do support the motion, but I'm a bit worried about what we're going to bring Blackburn Park into. At the moment, we've got self-contained caravans only. We put a toilet there. Do we have to change our rules and regulations for this park? Because all of a sudden, we're going to provide a toilet. So we're going to get caravans in there that aren't self-contained. Tents, we're going to open it up to everyone that wants to stop there overnight or for a few days. That's my only concern. I'm quite happy to have a toilet there for people to use, but will we need to change the way we have that park from now to then?
General Manager.
Madam Mayor, the officers have been asked to actually prepare a full report identifying all toilets that exist throughout our council area, identifying the program we've had in replacement, identifying maintenance costs. Council's also started looking at putting shower facilities into some of our sites as well. All that will form part of the report, so council has a full picture of it before it starts saying yes to an additional toilet block. Because I think you're going to realise there's going to be significant costs to actually build and maintain all that you have already. We have a number of toilets that still haven't been upgraded yet to the next standard, so hopefully that partially answers your question. So there'll be a full report that looks at the full costs throughout the whole council area, not just Blackburn Park.
Councillor Terrett.
Just in relation to that, it was more to be looked at on the high side of Blackburn Park, which is near the sculptures, near the Red Bridge, so it wouldn't be down near the caravans. Number of people near the barbecue areas down that area. So if people are having barbecues, there is a convenience to be used, and particularly if you have children using the play equipment and looking at the sculptures, there's somewhere to stop as well. I'm happy to incorporate it as part of our overall plan, but I believe that it is surely needed in that area. It's about a huge number of people pass that site and is causing problems there.
Councillor Archer.
I'd only say that we have toilets about 400 metres up the road, and just how many toilet blocks can we build? I mean, realistically, I think we'll wait for the report, but yeah, they cost money, they vandalism, maintenance, we've got to be very careful.
I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Their next recommendation is around the Campbelltown Tourist Park, and the officer's recommendation is that council officers present to the Campbelltown District Forum on the proposed Campbelltown, should have tourist park in there, Campbelltown Tourist Park. Councillor Andrews is moving. Councillor Lambert is seconding. Any discussion? Councillor Lambert.
I'll ask my question now. Have we got any dates for the community meetings. So we've got this for the forum, but we also talked about the business sector and the community as well having meetings.
And we're not at this stage. We're looking at actually having the presentation to the district committee first. Then once that's been held, then look at arranging the meeting after that for the community.
So will that be, again, at the next forum meeting that will be
We would
presented?
hope so.
or-
We're looking at inviting the consultant Paul West along. We thought someone independent to come along and present the report. I think we thought was a good way to move forward. We are hearing positive comments coming out of the forum with regards to the proposal, but again, a proposal that comes at considerable cost. So we thought someone independent that actually could explain all the costs associated with that and the possible income we thought would be beneficial for the committee.
Thank you.
Councillor Andrews.
Just for the General Manager, are you aware that I think the next Campbelltown District Committee meeting is on a public holiday?
No, I wasn't aware of that.
Might be the next one.
Okay, I'll put that to recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Evandale Advisory Committee, they have a recommendation around the Pioneer Park Master Plan update, and the officer's recommendation is that the committee's request is noted by council and the Evandale Advisory Committee be consulted prior to the master plan being finalised. Councillor Terrett's moving that, and Councillor Adams is seconding. No discussion. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. The next one is about Honeysuckle Banks dump point, and the officer's recommendation is that the committee's request is noted by council and the Evandale Advisory Committee be advised that the development application for the dump point is anticipated to be lodged in April 2024 and of council's actions in relation to the excrement at the location. Councillor Lambert and Councillor Terrett. Any discussion? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Pioneer Park toilets. The officer's recommendation is that the Evandale Advisory Committee's request be noted by council and officers provide the committee with advice as to council's project planning process.
As recommended.
Councillor Terrett and Councillor McCullough. Any discussion? I'll put the recommendation. Yes, Councillor Lambert.
Just a question about how long is it anticipated before this project will be completed?
I'd have to,
Is it
the works manager aware?
Sorry, I never got the
the
question.
Pioneer Park toilet upgrade?
Another 3 weeks will be completed.
Okay, another 3 weeks. That's not long. Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Longford Local District Committee have a recommendation around the motor racing themed signage, and the officer's recommendation is council note the motion of the committee.
I'll move that.
Councillor Adams and Councillor McCullough.
I'm very pleased with the signage and look forward to it going up.
Excellent. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Their next one is around the speed limit change, Illawarra Road, and the officer's recommendation is that council not support the recommendation of the committee and take no further action. Councillor Brooks, you're moving that?
No, I'd like to foreshadow another motion there.
Yes, you can. Okay, I need a mover and a seconder for this one.
Want to hear the motion first?
That's this
Oh,
one.
you're going for that one.
No, I'm just asking for a mover. Excuse me, I'm just asking, is there a mover and a seconder for the motion that's there? That council not support the recommendation of the committee and take no further action. So we have a mover and a seconder. If we don't, the motion lapses. You may now put a motion.
Right now?
Yes?
Yep. The council requests state growth to reduce the speed limit from 100 kilometres to 90 kilometres from
You'll have to go a little bit slower, I think. Yep. You're right. Yep, keep going.
to reduce the speed limit from 100 kilometres to 90 kilometres from the start of Bishopsburn Road to the municipal boundary on Illawarra Road. To bring it in line with the other section of Illawarra Road from Perth to Longford Roundabout, or Bishopsburn Road. Not sure if you want that bit in there, in that motion or not.
Does the 90k zone go right to Bishopsburn Road now?
Yeah.
Or goes
Yeah,
to the
it goes
to the
right,
boundary?
just past Bishopsburn Road.
Yep.
So it'll make it all uniform through there. Yeah.
So now I need a seconder to that motion, councillor McCullough. Any discussion?
Yeah, now speaking to that motion, the Longford District Committee have worked really hard on this and have left no stone unturned. They've spoken to residents along that section of road. There's a lot of farm gates along there. I think there's 16 farm gates along that 3.5 kilometre stretch of road. So it's a busy. There's a lot of busy entrances there, a lot of farming practices that go on there. We've got a winery there. It just makes sense to extend that speed limit reduction through to the municipal boundary to make it all in line. It's not a big ask. It's not going to impact on anyone else, but to leave it as it is, it's dangerous for farmers exiting and coming onto that road when you've got a big truck coming in behind you. 9 times out of 10 they're coming out with a tractor, so they can't actually, there's not a lot of speed involved that they can get going quite quickly. I've got faith that the district committee have the work that they've done on it and the consulting that they've done with the people along that bit of road will not impact anyone else. So that's really why I'm proposing that speed limit change. It'll reduce noise and it'll also mitigate the risks of accidents along there. We've talked about this for quite some time. If you go down to Hobart and you go through Baghdad and the likes, there's 10 kilometres of road down there that they've actually made to 80 kilometres an hour. We're talking 3.5 kilometres of road here. It's not very long. They've got 10 kilometres, and I can't just justify as to why State Growth would reject it, given we've already been successful in reducing the speed limit from the Perth off-ramp to Bishopsburn Road.
Councillor Lambert.
Thank you. Just two queries. Do we know if there've been a history of accidents along that road? That's just a general query. I don't know if you can answer that. And the second part of that is, aren't they looking at developing that road, widening that road in the near future, and how might that impact on the proposed motion up here?
One of the problems we have is actually you're picking a spot and you're taking it up to a boundary. So in other words, there's going to be a change of speed within a short distance within 2 council areas. It's something that they would have to consider. Mm-hmm. So they would either look at taking it all the way through to the interchange of the main highway. But we also must remember this is a main highway here too. That's why they're doing the upgrades, to bring it up to Commonwealth or federal standards throughout along Illawarra Road from one end to the other. Officers didn't support it because we didn't believe that they were going to be supported. I'm not aware of the accidents. We can ask that questions, but I'm not aware of the numbers that have occurred along that stretch of road.
Councillor McCullough.
Well, I would have thought if they're going to improve the road and widen it and make it to a highway standard, it seems that it is problematic. Hence my supporting of Councillor Brooks's motion.
Councillor Archer.
Yes, look, I think with the upgrade, in the planning stage, eventually the State Growth or whoever will decide what speed they want once those works are complete. But in the meantime, I think with the significant number of road entrances, gate entrances, house entrances, this would be a good move. I'm not sure whether State Growth, as you say, General Manager, will approve of it right out to the municipal boundary, whether that's any point, but I think especially as far past Wickford, I think that is certainly needs reducing at this stage, and the new design might allow new entrances, I'm not sure, but at this stage I support the motion.
Councillor Jarrett.
Just if this motion does get passed, I also think we do need to liaise with Meander Valley Council, whether they're supportive to take it all the way to the Bass Highway. I think that would actually give some credence to any concerns, and also getting some feedback from Meander Valley Council for their section of the road, because I think there is continuity, and also from the Perth, coming off Perth into Illawarra Road, it's a 90 kilometre hour speed limit all the way through. So that gives some credence to continue that speed limit through the Bass Highway.
Do we need to think about adding until the upgrade? Something like that?
Well, that'll take care of itself.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, because
That's fine.
we've got that section of road between Perth off-ramp and the Longford roundabout, that's been upgraded, and we've still got the 90 kilometre speed limit through there.
I think this is I think this is just encouraging State Growth to start thinking that way now,
Yeah.
because they waited until the project was completed before they changed coming from Perth, so this might encourage them to do it sooner.
Okay, so Councillor Adams, you wish to speak?
Just, the town committee has worked hard on its some of these areas. It's like the town itself's got a 50, but from the old CWA hall back to Cressy Road, it's 60 plus, and then you go into Wellington Street after Sticky Beats Corner, and it's 60 on. There's a lot of concern about speed and the amount of traffic we have in the town, and trying to manage that, and also the surrounds and the difficulties that people are having with traffic coming in Illawarra Road. Of course, there is proposals for substantial amount of money in the next Commonwealth amount of money to come to Tasmania, which I don't actually have the date of. But I think this does get, as Councillor Lambert has said, get State Growth thinking on a broader front that they haven't in the past. It's basically that they have some rules and they don't want to listen to anybody else.
Okay, I'll read the recommendation. The council requests the Department of State Growth to reduce the speed limit from 100 kilometres an hour to 90 kilometres an hour from the start of Bishopsburn Road to the municipal boundary on Illawarra Road, to bring it in line with the other section of Illawarra Road from Bishopsburn Road to the intersection of the Perth interchange. You're happy with that,
Yeah.
Councillor Brooks? I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Against? Carried. The Bicycle Advisory Committee have a recommendation around stormwater infrastructure, identification and reporting of issues. And the officers' recommendation is that council officers investigate the matter. Councillor Lambert and
I was just going to
Councillor.
say, can we just add to that and bring a report back?
Hang on a second. Councillor Lambert and Councillor Andrews, now Councillor McCullough.
Can we just add to that and bring a report back to council?
That's what they're doing.
I just says to investigate the matter.
Okay, it's a mover and seconder, happy with that? Just to bring a report back to council at the end of it? Yes?
Thank you.
Any discussion? Councillor Adams?
This is because the drains go the same way as the road and bike wheels go down. That's the purpose of it.
Councillor Lambert.
And I think they're particularly focusing on the bike routes that we approved a few meetings ago to make sure that they are safe and safe basically for cyclists. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. They also have a recommendation around access for cyclists to the Mill Dam and Tannery Strait area. And the officer's recommendation is that officers investigate the recommendation and report back to council and the committee. That's probably what should have been in the other one. And Councillor McCullough, you're seconding. Any discussion? Councillor Andrews.
Just to say that I think this is a really positive suggestion, because it will lead further on to the long-term plan of putting a bike bridge across where the long bridge used to be, and all of a sudden you've got a wonderful circuit for cyclists at Longford.
And I think they were also hoping not to be cut out of that site, but to try and make it so dirt bikes and other bikes can't access it. So it's a much safer place for them to cycle as well, and for younger people, not just old, everyone.
Councillor Brooks.
Is that investigation, does that include the ownership of that land? Is
That'd be
it-
part of it, wouldn't it?
Will that be part of it?
Have to be. It's on some other people's land, yeah. Okay, I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now we move to planning.
Number 9.
Oh, number 9, public question time. Councillor Deputy Mayor. Like that, so that I can get up to where I'm up to. You happy with me taking this? And I need to sign something.
Okay, public question time. We have a couple of questions that have come through. Questions on notice from Mr. Stuart Lowe. Did you want me to read that out?
No, not necessarily.
No?
I think the questions are there, the answers are
Questions there
there.
and the answers are there.
No.
We'll just move through. And there is another one there from Mr. Brian Claridge, which has also been answered. Let the mayor back in then, if there are no comments, questions.
Hang on, we're
Um,
discussing it, are we?
No, well, it was a question, the question's been answered.
could I just clarify, this is the road from Kingston through to Bonnings Plains, or I think you're talking about Chips?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, okay, I'll get the mayor in. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, this is the part of the meeting where members of the public are invited, if they wish, to ask questions or make statements about something that's not a planning item. You may ask a question, you have 2 minutes to speak. Beg your pardon, you can ask 2 questions. You've got 3 minutes to speak, and just be mindful that our meeting's being recorded. And I have something that I have to read out to you. Yep, and I should have asked before that all phones please be on silent. Ladies and gentlemen, please note this meeting is being audio live streamed and recorded to the Council's website in accordance with Council's live streaming of open Council meetings policy. The recording will be archived and made available on Council's website after the meeting. While care is taken to maintain your privacy while in attendance at the Council meeting, please note that your presence in the Council chambers and/or your voice may be live streamed and recorded, including any statement made during public question time or consideration of planning matters. All speakers ought to refrain from making any defamatory comments or releasing personal information of another individual without their prior consent. Council accepts no liability for any damage that may result from defamatory comments, and all liability will rest with the individual making those comments. By remaining in the public gallery, you are deemed to consent to being live streamed and recorded. If any person attending the meeting does not agree to being live streamed or recorded, you may choose to leave the meeting. Thank you. Now, is there anybody who wishes to make a statement or ask a question about something that's not to do with our planning items? You just need to state your...
We'd like to ask the questions about the Gyps Creek Road.
Oh, okay, well, I need to leave. Thank you.
The chair, she'll guide you. The deputy mayor will guide you. Yep.
All right, so we have someone who'd like to ask a question about the Gyps Creek Road. We just need your name and address, and you have 3 minutes.
My name is Stuart Lowe.
You can stand up if you like.
My name's Stuart Lowe. I
Thank
reside at Acton Park, Hobart. My question, as a Northern Midlands Council ratepayer and landowner, is can the council please explain how a public local highway called the Gibbs Creek User Road has been closed illegally for 20 years, despite the council not closing it under the only statutory provision available? I'll just add one thing. Council did receive legal advice from council lawyer, Mr Sean McElway, December the 17th, 2003, in assisting Mr Ralph Cameron close an offshoot of this major road called the Cart Gully Track. And the legal advice sought from, which council obtained from Mr McElway, was that the only statutory provision available was Section 14 of the Local Government and Highway Act. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, I can only reiterate the advice I've been giving, and it's the answer that's been given. It's actually in the actual agenda.
Okay, thank you, General Manager. Do we have anyone else that would like to?
Yes, I'd like to
Yes.
ask a question on the Gibbs Creek Road.
Good to have your name and.
Brian Claridge, I live at Caveside. I'm a previous landowner in the district.
Thank you. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Now, we're not confusing the Cart Gully Track with the Gibbs Creek Road. The Cart Gully Track was closed. Gibbs Creek Road was never closed, despite there being barriers and locks put across it at each end, plus in the middle. And I'll ask the question again to the Mayor or Deputy Mayor. Can the councillors of Northern Midlands Council present at this meeting please confirm the local highway known as Gibbs Creek Road, not maintainable by council, remains open as confirmed by Property Services and the Traffic Engineering Liaison Officer? That's my question.
Thank you, Mr Claridge. Mr General Manager, do you have anything to add?
I can only add what was previously advised with regards to the information that's in the agenda. I'm happy to receive anything further that you can provide above what the advice I've provided here. We can follow it up for you.
As long as we're not, there's two roads. The Cart Gully Track was closed, Gibbs Creek was not.
No, I'm understanding what you're saying. Yep.
Thank you.
So we'll receive some information from you if you would like to forward that through to council.
We can forward some information,
I
yes.
think you've been forwarded. I think the council's been overloaded with the information I've sent them. But I've simplified it down to a very simple thing.
I'm sorry, you've had your opportunity to speak. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to stop you there. And Mr Claridge has committed to bringing, excuse me, Councillor Adams.
Sorry.
Did you have something you want to clarify?
No.
No?
Can
Councillor
I have a point of clarification? The questions that were asked on notice, those answers given, were they related to the road that Mr Claridge is talking about? That's what I want to know. Or are we confused with the 2 roads? So,
Yeah, I've given an undertaking to follow that up and I'll get further advice to actually get clarity around that. That's what I've committed to do, to follow up and confirm that.
we'll be able to come back with some
Yes.
information. Yes, that's fine.
Now, Mr Adams just asked, was it?
So I've actually asked Councillor Adams whether he wanted to ask a question. Do you want to ask a question,
No.
Councillor Adams? No, that's okay. So I think we will commit to getting some information to come back and we'll clarify that situation. Hopefully they'll come back next week. Yes.
There's another.
So if there are any other questions regarding Gibbs Creek Road, I'll bring the Mayor back in and she can continue. Right, I'll bring the Mayor back in.
Okay, is there any member of the community who wish to ask a question about any other item? Good, yes, you just state your name and address.
Hi, Ron Seaboff. I live at 7 Second Street, Perth, East. I'm just wondering I'm going back 14 months ago, I complained about trucks coming and going from some number 8 Second Street, which the council have said, yes, they've fixed them, the whole lot, they've tried, and the council have, actually, the people have told them, no, and it's got to the stage where they said it's going to a legal stage where they can't say anything more about it to me. I've just recently, within the last 2 weeks, talk to the owner of the property and the agency is running the agency for the people, and they know nothing about legal proceedings going on from the council about evicting the trucks. Like one truck, and the trucks are going against the EPA time frame, like they're going out at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, coming home at 8:15, 7:45. That's not on, but the owner and the council said the legal proceedings take time. It's an ongoing thing, and which the owner knows nothing about, neither does the agency. And the last 14 months, what's been going on, to me, I'll say it here and now, whoever's dealing with the case, I know the councillors, 2 councillors are dealing with the case, I'll just tell them they're straight out liars. They've lied to me all the way through for the 14 months.
Thank you very much.
And sorry, Mayor, I won't be responding to that. You're fully aware of the council's position on the matter. There are other issues pending at the moment which you're also aware of. Thank you very much.
Is there anybody else in the community who wishes to ask a question or make a statement about something that's not to do with planning? No? Okay, well, we move into planning. We'll move into Councillor Lambert, Councillor Adams. Where am I? All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Now, is there anybody here who would like to make a comment about planning 1, which is the tree removal, Translink Avenue, Western Junction? You have, you just need to state your name and address, and you've got 3 minutes.
I'm Larry Christian, I live in Youngtown. So dear Mayor and Councillors, we're the applicants involved in this planning application to erect a significant industrial development at 6 Translink Avenue, Western Junction. Our client purchased this land from a plan before the subdivision started and was not aware that these trees were on there. And obviously being an industrial estate, he assumed that they would not sell a block with trees on it. But prior to lodging this plan application, we did consult an arborist about the condition of 14 old pine trees within the site. The verbal response was that they were past their useful life and should be removed and to look at a more appropriate species. We didn't formalise this advice, which in hindsight we should have, as the trees seemed little value and well away from the neighbouring property. Since the receipt of representation against the removal of the trees, we've taken the step of formalising this advice in the form of the report, which was with the agenda, attached to the agenda, so hopefully you've all had a chance to have a look at it. And the advice from the tree pioneers who wrote the report was, we thought, very clear. It was that the 14 radiator pine trees at 6 Translink Road, Western Junction, should not be a restriction on development. The trees offer no amenity value and no future in the landscape. The 10 alive trees and 4 dead trees are in poor condition and have very short useful life expectancy of 0 to 5 years. The harsh growing environment offers little opportunity for the trees. The development of the site allows for soil amelioration and replanting of more appropriate species. And their final advice was to remove and replace with more appropriate species, which, as per our application, after consultation with the airport, we're proposing to plant a line of blackwood trees along the boundary as these are non-bird attracting, which is in line with the airport's requirements. The complainant's letter mentioned, and I quote, that these trees are important to the bird life of the area. Our current register of birds living and visiting the area now stands at 40 and includes wedge-tailed eagles and black cockatoos. However, the report that we got states that the pine trees are not a viable habitat for the tree due to the rate at which they degrade, and also the birds nesting in the trees is completely against what the airport's trying to do in planting non-bird attracting trees. The complainant's letter also mentioned that the trees are within 100 metres of the heritage protection zone, as outlined in the planning scheme. But after further investigation, we found out that the Northern Midlands Council plans have inserted the wrong buffer boundary in the planning scheme, and it shows a heritage protection zone starting from the Clairville property boundary, which is not correct. It actually starts 80 metres back, which means that there's only part of one tree that falls within that 100 metre zone. The other point we want to raise is, as you'll all be aware, the land has previously been used for grazing. However, now due to the new subdivision and the use has been changed to industrial to reflect the zoning, we believe the risk of falling branches and the trees failing is unacceptable and could cause serious damage to people.
I need to stop you there, that's the 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Is there anybody else who wishes to speak on planning one?
Cameron Scottsdale. I wish to further discuss this topic regarding the tree removal. The client obviously have purchased this land and we're of the assumption that there was no trees on it. It's industrial block, industrial subdivision. Due to this, the line of trees are running through the middle of the block. So it makes it very difficult to restricts the usage of the block, and therefore, if this is not approved, this removal is not approved, the proponent has decided that they would not proceed with moving their business operations into the Northern Midlands Council area, and obviously it's a loss of employment for the local community. But obviously we want to make it just emphasise the impact that if this business was to set up there, they've got these really old trees, they've got 0 to 5 years of life, and who takes responsibility if these limbs fall on workers working at this joinery factory. Trust that clears it up, and yeah, would be very recommend that this be approved. Thanks.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak against that proposal on planning one? All right, we'll move to planning two. Is there anybody who wishes to make a comment about the draft amendment flood hazard mapping, planning two? Okay, over to you, councillors. Planning one, the tree removal, Lot 6, Translink Avenue, Western Junction. And the recommendation is that of application 230235 for removal of radiator pine tree line to accommodate civil hydraulic design and allow for future development, Translink SAP, as approved, Lot 6, Evandale Road, folio of the register 185373301, adjacent to Translink Avenue South, Western Junction, be refused on the following grounds. The proposal is not sympathetic to the cultural significance of the historic Clearville property contained on folio of the register 108432/1, contrary to clause 1711 of the Tasmanian Planning Scheme, Northern Midlands. Over to you, councillors.
I'd like to foreshadow.
You can move a motion.
I'll move a new motion.
Yeah, you can move a motion.
I'll move a new motion that the trees be removed and replanted with a alternative species appropriate to the area.
Do I have a seconder for that?
Yep.
Councillor Brooks. Any discussion? Councillor Andrews?
Would councillor McCullough be happy to include in that motion?
I beg your pardon, before we go any further, I should have got my planner to say something first. I beg your pardon.
Yeah, I mean, on the understanding that councillors may, of course, wish to approve this, there are some draft conditions of approval that Ms Eacher could put up, which I'll just wait for them to come up.
Thank you.
Yep, that Word document at the bottom. Yep. So that is saying that the approval is removed in accordance with the plans that they submitted, which shows removal of the trees, shows replanting within 100 metres of the Clearville boundary with black peppermints on their proposal plans. It also says that the plantings to be in place before the trees are removed, and that the plantings are to be maintained ongoing.
Councillor Andrews, sorry to interrupt you.
That actually answers what I was going to raise, that there be a time frame as to when the trees were planted. And yeah.
So the mover and the seconder, Councillor McCullough, Councillor Brooks, are you happy with this as a recommendation? That application planning 230235 for removal of radiator pine line to accommodate civil hydraulic design. I can't quite see it all, Gail, sorry. Allow for future development at the approved lot 6 Evandale Road, adjacent to Translinks Avenue South, Western Junction be approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, that the layout is not altered. The use and development must be in accordance with the endorsed Plan 1, proposed site and context plan, Bison Constructions. 2, replacement plantings. Before radiator pine trees are removed, replacement plantings and mounding within 100 metres of Clairville boundary, folio register 108432/1, must be planted and installed in accordance with the endorsed plan. And 3, maintenance of plantings within 100 metres of Clairville boundary, folio register 108432/1, must be maintained in accordance with the endorsed plan. Now, the mover and the seconder, you're happy with that as the recommendation?
Yeah.
Yes, right. Councillor Andrews first, please.
I have another question. There was some discussion earlier in the evening about the type of trees and that they weren't suitable, really, the blackwoods. Would we be happy with that, or should there be a bit more
It
discussion?
needs to come addressed to the officers, I think. Yes, and there was also a comment around the proposed plantings didn't encourage birds, but we had comments in our workshop where we need something that's reasonably fast growing. So the question needs to come to the officers.
Thanks. So the proposed plans show replacement with black peppermints. The previous permit for the kitchen centre had proposed blackwoods, but this proposal is for black peppermints.
Because they're fast growing.
I think because they're more endemic, more native to the area, I think.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, and I think, if this gets refused, we're going to have the same ongoing issue no matter what business goes there. They're an unsafe tree that's there at the moment. A branch could fall out of that tree tomorrow and kill someone. So I think we've got to err on the side of caution here and use our common sense. We've got a industrial subdivision over there, specifically there to encourage businesses to come to our municipality. If we start knocking back these sort of applications, we'll end up with a vacant block, no good for any business to use. So I think, we've got to be realistic here, and what that motion there covers everything. We're replacing the trees, we're eliminating the risk if one of those trees do fall over. So I'd just urge the councillors to support that motion.
Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor. Just to support what Councillor Brooks has just said, when the report clearly says there are already 4 dead trees, the other trees are in very poor state and a maximum of 5 years life left in them. And my fear was that if we voted to allow the trees to stay, that we would be back in this same position in 5 years' time, where I think this is a very sensible, although I do really understand where the other representatives are coming from in terms of trying to preserve that heritage link with the farming of yesteryear. I totally understand that, but I think in a common sense perspective, we need to go down this track and have these trees removed, and I think Councillor Brooks mentioned for safety reasons. And I did not want our council to be back in 5 years' time when we could have had trees already 5 years into their growing cycle, which I think will benefit everyone in the area there. So I support the motion.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I think all the paper that I've read and my fellow councillors that have looked at these trees, that 4 or 5 of them are already dead, and they're not going anywhere, and they're not an equal part of the history of the area. And I'm quite pleased to support this motion. And I was only concerned that we get some fast-growing trees in the area where it's been proposed to do that, to give the cover to those that have thought that this was not going to be in their interest.
Okay, I'm going to, yes, Councillor Archie, you haven't spoken.
Could I just say that in respect to the representative or the owner of Clairville, that if these trees were healthy and a long-standing tree like a cedar or something like that, I'd be reluctant to allow this, but knowing radiatas, they do have a limited life, are dangerous. I agree that the plantings proposed of the black peppermints will eventually replace those, but I just encourage the developers of all sites around Clairville to consider the historic nature. Heritage people don't make recommendations lightly, and this was part of the approval for TransLink. The owners of this property, when they bought it, should have been aware that those trees potentially were there, and if they had been healthy in a different species, I'd have a different review, but I will support the motion because of their health.
Okay, I'm going to put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Planning 2, the draft amendment with the flood hazard mapping. Do you wish to speak to?
So this item is a planning scheme amendment to insert flood-prone hazard area overlay maps to the folios of the registers outlined in the recommendation. This will provide transparency in terms of the areas that we know are subject to flood hazard in a climate change scenario, and it will make that mapping available to the public through the planning scheme maps.
Mover and a seconder, Councillor Terrett and Councillor Brooks. I'm going to read out the recommendation so we know what we're discussing. That under section 40DB of the Land Use Planning Approvals Act 1993, Council as Planning Authority agrees to prepare amendment 13-2024 to the Northern Midlands Local Provision Schedule. And that under section 40F of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993, Council as Planning Authority certify draft amendment 13-2024 of the Northern Midlands Local Provision Schedule as meeting the LPS criteria, and 3, pursuant to the section 40G and 40H of the Land Use Planning and Approvals Act 1993, determine the period for exhibition to be 21 days. Now, I'm not going to read out all the numbers. There's 63 folios in the North Sheepwash Creek area, 114 folios in the South area, and 105 folios in the Campbelltown Ross area. So now open to discussion. Councillor Terrett.
Just looking to this motion, this work is essential to ensure the safety of people in the long terms. Climate change, whether you're a believer or not, we have to be protecting people and their families from possible inundation that could occur. The failure to do this work puts people at risk and properties at risk. By us doing that, we're taking a very strong statement in defining those areas where we won't be supporting development and that these areas could flood. It actually also means that we could also do some buffer zones into some grasslands or park area in some of those flood areas in the long term, which would be a nice addition as well. But the fact is, we've already seen we're in the middle of a drought at the moment. In the long term, we've seen floods in all these towns, and doing this work has been essential for us for the future in planning.
Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor. I just reiterate those points, and just also to say that this amendment will ensure that the latest flood mapping is available, publicly available, to provide clarity and transparency of known flood risks in the area, and I think that's a good thing that we've got that transparency. A huge body of work's been done to get to this point, so congratulations to the officers who've done an amazing job to get this work done too.
Councillor Archer.
Look, I just have one query here in regards to the Perth map. I read through the attachments pretty thoroughly, and there still seems to be some confusion over the McKinnon Dam and its effectiveness as a detention basin and its potential use as a detention basin under council control. Could I just ask the question of whoever, does that mean that flood map for Perth is not completely finalised because of that doubt over the effect of the McKinnon Dam?
Madam Mayor, and the officers may be able to, there's no doubt in my mind, or I would think in the officers' minds of actually with the hydrologists, and the fact that they're taking the situation is now, both dams are full, they're not being used as detention basins, the water's not being released from them, so they're looking at them both being full. If they were to consider them detention basins, my understanding is there could be a change with regards to the catchment areas, particularly for the Sheepwash Creek area. But at this stage, they are once they're full, and then it's just the overflow that comes through.
So they are considered full all the time, even when they may be empty for any reason?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And sorry, ma'am, if at any time, particularly I think that the last one that was built, if that was to become a detention basin, that I think that would, I believe, would have a major impact with regards to the management of that site.
Councillor Adams.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, this is good work and work that needs to be done in our municipality because of the areas as Ross and Campbelltown, and of course Longford and the low areas of Perth, especially in West Perth, which there needs to be some other work done there on culverts and maybe a bridge under Drummond Street. But it's good work. It's work that needs to be done. Councillor Lambert said about it being transparent and being put out there and let the work that we've done given the people that want to develop land. But I still want to say that there is some land that probably never needs to be built on. And the very low land, and I think we've probably reached some of that, and we need to say that. We've talked about pumps here and pumping stuff into contention basins and people having tanks on land. Maybe there's just some blocks that don't need to be built on. And, we should probably reach the stage where there's certain criteria to say that if you can't shift the water from the rock in certain ways, then that block becomes a block that's not used for residential unless there's engineering solutions.
And I don't know, it's a part of this discussion at the Legat conference, our flood mapping motion was successful. No further discussion, I'll put the recommendation to the vote. Those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Now we need to move out of planning. Councillor Lambert, Councillor McCullough. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. We break for a meal now. We'll break for our meal break. How long will we be? Half an hour. So those members of the public who want to hang around are most welcome. We'll be gone for half an hour. Watch and Residents Committee regarding recommendation regarding the basketball court. And the officer's recommendation is that the Works Manager meet with the Devon Hills Neighbourhood House Watch and Residents Committee at a future date to discuss the committee's concerns, and that the final decision on the installation of a basketball court in Devon Hills will be a council decision based on the officer's recommendation, and the Devon Hills Neighbourhood Watch and Residents Committee be advised of this. Councillor Lambert, you're moving that. Councillor Terrett seconding.
Can I
Yes.
make comment?
Yes.
I note that it was knocked back last time, but the committee are steadfast in wanting to have this issue put back on the table. They believe that there are some practical solutions that can be brought to the table to enable this to happen. They've provided a couple of alternatives, one which has been knocked out already, that's fine, but there is a viable option where a quarter court can be potentially safely installed. There are other safety mitigation things being put in that area. I think that will help alleviate some of those safety concerns. We have a number of different age groups of kids up there, and they deserve the same opportunities, equity, as any other kid in our communities deserve to be able to go and play sport, recreate after school, before school, school holidays, during those, downtimes. So I think we need to support, and I'm really pleased that the Works Manager is going up to talk to the committee, because I think they've got some really practical solutions that will support the health and wellbeing of the young people in that Devon Hills area and provide a bit of equity. So I'll be really pleased when we've got a date for that meeting yet.
No.
No.
Haven't set that.
Because they meet on a Sunday. Their committee meetings meet on a Sunday, so we might need to look at another alternative time. But anyway, I'm really pleased that you're coming up to have a chat with them, because I think they've got some really good ideas to solve it. Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I know every town wants a half basketball court at the moment. I know Longford desperately wanting one. Perth, I think, wanting one. Is it too much to ask the children from Devon Hills to use the Perth one? It's only a suggestion, but we've got a perfectly good bikeway there going between Devon Hills and Perth. Just a suggestion is to, there's not a lot of people at Devon Hills when you compare it to Perth. Do we put one in Devon Hills, then we put another one in Perth? Seems a lot of cost, but anyway, that's for another time.
Councillor Terrett.
Just in that, Devon Hills, some people might say we're a bit precious, but
you think, Paul?
Excuse me, one at a time. Councillor Terrett.
Asking your kids, it is quite a large area. There are more people living in Devon Hills than in Ross on the last ABS, and it's like telling people from Cressy to come down to Longford because it is because it's not that far down the road. I think the fact is you'd like to go have your children going somewhere safe in close proximity to where you live. There aren't facilities for young people in that area, and the demographics of Devon Hills are changing and quite significantly.
Councillor McCullough.
Yeah, I think Councillor Brooks's walking aspirations are getting a little bit better. He can walk.
Cycling?
Excuse me, everybody, one at a time. Councillor McCullough.
I think that as a kid, you like your own territory, you like to be in your own town, kicking the football at the football ground. And now basketball seems to be a trend. I would support a basketball court over at Devon Hills. They don't have a lot over there. They don't ask for a lot, in my opinion. They don't get a lot, and I think this would be really good for them.
Okay, I'm going to put that. Councillor Adams, sorry, I didn't see your hand. Sorry.
I grew up 7 miles out of Cressy, so I didn't have any basketball courts, and I used to ride my bike to Cressy to participate in cricket and football. People drive from Longford to Cressy to the pool, which I did recently. And there is a logical situation is that I don't know how many number of young people there are in Devon Hills. So, the argument should be mounted that there is a few kids there that would use, it's a half basketball court, I guess, or I'm a bit I'll have to be convinced that, we put one there, because when you look at the amount of people in Perth, you would favour putting it in the higher populations.
Okay, no doubt those conversations will come up when it comes back to council.
Yes.
I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. Information items. Have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Adams, Councillor Terrett, and then discussion. Right. Any questions, any discussion?
One thing I did have, I just got to find it first.
Councillor Andrews.
Just interested in how we're going with the concept plan for the Mill Dam Reserve area and the ownership thereof.
We've done this, we're working on a bit of a sketch at the moment with regards to the details of the pieces that perhaps we might consider purchasing. Once we've finalised the sketch, we'll have a chat with Swift to see if there's any appetite from them to actually consider the disposal of some of them. We'll bring it back and report to council.
Thank you.
Councillor Lambert.
Yeah, I've got three, if that's okay.
Yes.
On page 33, under our strategic projects, down the bottom it lists a bunch of projects that are in train, and conversations. One is the Longford Community House, lobbying state government. Can we get an update to that? Do we ever get anywhere with this? I mean, we keep hearing that we're waiting for state growth, and that's fine, but have they actually got back to us? I think somewhere in here it talks about drawing up some contracts or something, but have we seen them yet, or had any sort of, given the state election, I would have thought maybe this might have been the opportune time for that to happen.
No, we did that. We've been doing that. There's been in our documentations that we've sent out, and any opportunities we've had, we've raised it with whoever we met with. I think one of the outstanding issues has actually been sorting out the actual property boundaries and titles. But that still hasn't been finalised. I think they're only here, about a fortnight ago, surveying the area, not that long ago. They still haven't finalised that. So sale or disposal would be still a while away.
Yeah.
But
we're still in the mix though.
Oh, yeah, we continue to advocate, and I think once we know the outcome of this next Saturday, that along with a few other issues we'll be raising immediately with the incoming government.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Now my second one was, it gives me great delight to look at page 34, 8.17, transfer of roads in Perth to council. So finally, since 2018, we've been working on getting state growth to sort of get these documents to us. Numerous politicians been paraded up and down the highway and talked about the importance of getting this turned over to council so we can start managing it correctly and all of those things. Finally, we've got what we've been asking for in terms of these roads. So, and it's been published in the Gazette, so that must mean it's happened. So that's a good outcome finally. But by gee, it shouldn't take this long. I mean, for these things to happen, I mean, no wonder the community get frustrated with these sorts of things and state growth and seem to take so long to hand things over. I can't possibly think of any reasons why except understaffing. I don't know, I'm just guessing. So yeah, that's great to see that happening. That one, and I had one other if that was okay. Just wanted to ask about the Community Pacific Festival in April. Do we have, I looked through the little form and it had council's name next to, I think it was a sound system and rubbish collection or something. Are we paying for any of those things? Because I went through the events that we supported and I couldn't see that on there. So how has this come to, I think it's great, by the way, I think it's a fabulous idea, but I just want to understand how this came to council and how we decided on our role, that kind of thing.
I think it was just an informal approach, and I think and the Mayor may be able to add more. With regards to the costs, obviously we own the sound system, so we're providing that gratis. The rubbish collection obviously is going to be at a cost, but they're our bins, we'll provide them, they'll move them around, then we'll collect them. So it is coming at a cost.
Okay. Yes.
I was actually approached by the Pacific Islander workers to see if we would participate in some sort of festival to acknowledge the workers that live in and work in our communities. And yes, our office has been working with that. We had a group meeting here where the church people have been involved. Rotary's very much involved, and Rotary's going to cover most of the costs.
Okay, so maybe if this is a success, and it sounds like a fabulous idea, maybe it's something we could encourage them to look at next time, to look at the funding, because twice a year I think that funding becomes available. So, but yeah, I just wanted to understand where we sat. So, do we have a liability at all in like a public liability or any of those things?
Not that I'm aware
no,
of. No,
that's okay.
no.
That's good.
Not that I'm aware of.
And they're hopefully planning to have another event in November to welcome the new arrivals of because some leave and come back, the Pacific Islander group, and it's from 5 or 6 different locations that they'll be coming in, from where the people's work. It's good.
I understand that.
I'm sorry, Councillor Terrett's next. Beg your pardon.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Matt. Thank you. That they're playing football now against each
yes,
other.
Soccer. Yes.
Soccer. Like Burlington will play Mountford and that sort of thing. So there's a bit of good rivalry going on.
Councillor Terrett.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent story for the Northern Midlands, particularly this week being Harmony Day coming up this week. I think it's a really nice synergy for Harmony Week. Often we think we have one culture, but we do have a lot of cultures within us. I think it's a great story for that. And the other thing I was going to ask you, Madam Mayor, was whether maybe you could make mention of those roads being handed back to council in your column, if you can consider that.
Certainly. Yes, absolutely. That's a good idea. Absolutely. Yep. Good. Councillor Andrews and Councillor Brooks then.
Yeah, sorry, did I push in?
No, you're right.
I just wanted to make mention of our youth officer, Natalie Durl, who seems to be doing exceptional work. She just, her reports are fabulous, and she's just so busy, and she's working with kids all over the place. I think she must be doing a pretty good job.
Councillor Brooks, you had your hand up.
Yeah, just one thing with the environmental health services. I'm not sure Kate Clark, is she a new employee, but the last January and February looks like our inspections have gone really down low, yet our complaints have come up. I don't know, is there an explanation for that?
It's just timing. They have to do the whole lot in 12 months, so I will just follow up and see what's going on. I have asked the question previously to make sure they keep up their inspections. Complaints may not necessarily it's really about shops, that's where and food preparation places where they actually go for the checks. She also has been involved in this green algae issue as well, and also spending a lot of time following up with the odour that's coming from either Swift or coming from the Tas water as well. That's was happening there for a while on a daily basis.
And another one, I don't know, I couldn't see it on there, but an update, if there is one, I'm not sure if there's one, given it's been so close from when I was dealing with it the other week, but from the Tasmanian honey place, the odours and complaints.
The EPA is still looking at that. We're still getting some advice on that. The understanding we have, that's part of their cooking process, and may not be anything that we can do. So the officers have been looking at that, so I'll wait to get some further advice on that.
Well, the EPA rang me today and to give me an update on what they knew, and they did say that the council environmental health officer was conducting some investigations, and they believe that there was something that could be done if they were working together. But
well, that's not the advice I got, but I'm happy to take that on board and follow up on that. So the advice I thought we got back, and I'll check on it, was that it is part of their cooking process. So
he doesn't cook; he spins it.
If
yes, he uses a boiler.
He uses a boiler,
and he puts wood in the boiler, and with honey on it, that's creating the
different blends.
Yes.
It wouldn't be the. He spins. He might use hot water, I guess. Washing up things.
So we are following up, so we're just still waiting for the advice then, and I'll double check that with the advice I've been given.
And I just need to let councillors know that from now on, any information questions you ask that are not related directly to something that's in the agenda needs to be a question to the next meeting. That one would have been an example.
Information item.
Yes, that's everything that we talk about at the meeting has to be about what's on the agenda, nothing new.
We've never done that before.
I know, we have never done it before.
We always quote
Yes,
council practices.
I know, yes, but we've got to stick to the rules, and that's the rules. So there will be any questions, just like the honey one, which we were quite happy to answer, but it will need to be a question to the next meeting from now
Sticking
on.
by the rules from
Yes.
now on, righto, fair enough.
Just to
Councillor Lambert.
clarify that then, so does that require it to be, I'm just trying to remember what it says in written? Does it have to be written, or can it be
Yes,
taken
it
on
does say
notice
be-
for the next meeting?
Yeah,
What's the
the
process?
mayor can ask
Just
for
so
it.
it's clear.
The mayor can ask for it to be written.
Yeah.
The councillor can then bring it forward in a written notice, and we can, again, it can be listed on the next agenda, or if we can find the answer straight away, we can put it out. Then councillors, if they wish to follow up on the matter, they can do a notice of motion.
So that's for information items, so.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation that the open council information items be received. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Now we're going to go to development services, which I believe is page 65. Well, it's 65 on the computer. I've got the right one. Community and development reports, yes. So,
Just the report be noted, Madam Mayor.
yes, the report be noted.
So moved.
Councillor McCullough and Councillor Adams. Hang on a second. And who wishes to speak? Anybody wishes to ask questions?
We're up on the commercial.
Planning applications are down considerably for the 9 months to year to date. Is there any reason for that? Now from 254.
Development's reduced substantially, and it's happening throughout the state and throughout Australia.
If I'm reading it right, 66, there's something of 70, is that an ongoing total of stop work that's reducing, or is that per month? Couldn't be. The 66 outstanding.
They're per month.
So there's 66 applications from July on stop for further information.
At that time, yes.
Yeah, and then it's reduced to 62,
Yes.
and then it's reduced to 53.
But there may have been more added.
Yeah, I understand that. So there's, as of today, there's 42 outstanding applications that need further information.
Yes, that's correct.
Wow.
Councillor Adams.
No,
You didn't? Right, okay. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Governance reports, the Longford Urban Design Project. And the recommendation is that council note this report and endorse the allocation of $1,393,628 of the $4 million community development grant to the development of a shared pathway from Longford Village Green to the Mill Dam.
I'll move the motion.
Councillor Adams. And do I have a seconder? Councillor Andrews. Any discussion? Councillor Terrett.
I'd like to speak against this. The allocation of almost $1.4 million to land that the council does not own is of concern. And I believe the community should have a say, even the local district community, of other suitable projects in the area. I know when this was originally put up in 2019, there was another project which was for almost 815,000 for a walkway and viewing platform on the flood levy, which may be something we need to have another look at. But I think there are other projects within the Longford area which have a higher priority, particularly in relation to footpaths, crossings of Wellington Street to make it safer, intersections that we need, and to build the footpath, or propose to build a footpath down in the Mill Dam area, is where, yes, it is going to be used, but I think there is a higher use area within Longford and a better expenditure of the funds.
Councillor Brooks.
Yeah, I'd be voting against this project as well, only for the simple reason is that I wouldn't like to be spending money on ground that we don't own. I think we've put the cart before the horse again. We should be checking out this land first and seeing if we can buy this land rather than do it in reverse. The community of Longford have been screaming out for a safe crossing for children and the elderly for quite some time now. I think that money could be channeled into that project and get a really good benefit for the community, not just spend money in an area that we don't own. So unless we own that area, I'd be quite happy to spend that money. But at this point in time, I'd rather spend the money putting a crossing in, safety for the children and the elderly.
General Manager.
Madam Mayor, the area where this is going to go, I believe that we are going to own it. It's not going to get us all the way into the Mill Dam area. We're looking at going down Littleton Street. We'll then be going up, I think, between the, what's the area between the two roads, Smith Street and...
Yes, we've got to come along the little Tool Street flood levy.
Yeah, and then we'll be going down...
Old one.
Yep, the old one there. Then we're heading down...
Union Street.
Union Street, and then we've got a ramp to construct then to get down safely down to where the bridge is. We'll be lucky if we get to the bridge with this project, which is all property owned by council, and it gives people free and safe access to that area. It would be great to take it all the way through. I've been walking that area of late. It is well travelled. You just have to walk there and see how well travelled it is. But again, it's up to council to give some direction. With regards to the suggested other project, that council elected not to proceed with that because it was actually becoming too close to the levy there. Even the funding body in the end kept coming back to us with questions with regards to any impact it had on the levy in that area. So the council at that stage elected to redirect those funds to the main street. And I think there's been 2 applications before council with regards to the main street. And I'll be honest, they would have met the requirements you're talking about with regards to safe crossing points throughout the main street. So I don't know what officers can actually add to that any more than what they've already done with regards to the work done on those 2 development applications.
Andrews.
I think probably my question just been answered. I was going to ask if we needed to be concerned about what might happen with my favourite thing at the moment, which is the 24-hour fuel depot on Tannery Road. But if we won't be able to afford to get any further than the railway bridge, we probably don't have to worry about whether the walkway will be impacted if the proponents get their way and a spill lane is built along Tannery Road, which will take out our rose bushes and our walk and our trees.
Councillor Lambert.
Thank you, Mayor. The General Manager's answered one about ownership and how far we were going to get. But the other thing that does concern me a little bit is the fact that we have not really talked to the community about this particular project. I'd like to see, at a minimum, some plans go up in some community places. District committee, I'm not sure if they've seen it. I just think that's really important that we do that. I understand the time pressures of the money, and I know we've had lots of stops along the way and lots of changes and lots of, ads and, lots of changes. But it is really important that we talk to our community about that change. They were very adamant that they did not want what we'd proposed or what the council had proposed, and that got voted down. I don't want to be facing the same thing again without having some community consultation. I think this will be well received. I think there's some really, really good aspects to this project, and it would be great for the health and well-being of people in our community. And I think it's a great project, but it just lacks a little bit of community input.
Do we have the time for that?
No, the time does exist. I would just ask council that there needs to be a firm decision made once you've gone through that process. We are running out of time. We've got until the 30th of June next year. That will come upon us that quick. We're trying to work through with regards to the drawing and the design work. We can't, and my understanding is we don't need a development application, which is another reason we've actually progressed down this path. And it is a well-travelled area as well. And we have the time to do that. But in saying that, we could let the tender for something like this early in the new financial year. Would that be correct, Mr Works Manager, and then progress it straight away?
That'd be correct. And I think the biggest headache with the whole road is that access point down to the railway. If anyone walks out at the moment, we've got a few olders walking down, they actually can't get down the ramp, which doesn't meet any standard, and the septic side are probably worse. So something that was actually put in by unemployed scheme, and that access point will cost a lot of money. It'll have to probably bricked up or blocked up to build a footpath on it with disabled access through that point.
So that's a good news story then, isn't it? You know, that's something that the community would see the benefit in. So I don't know how we could do a bit of community consult or just community interaction with this.
Well, the only reason we put this one forward as it is that it doesn't need a DA. Therefore, it's something the council could a decision, not easily, but a decision the council could make. There is ample time to actually finalise the sketches and put them up for public comment.
Well, then would the mover and the seconder be happy to add in a C, something along, you know, the lines of ensure there is community consultation before final plans are endorsed by council? David,
Moving second to Councillor Adams, Councillor Andrews, you happy with that?
Yes.
Councillor Archer.
Look, I'm not too sure. I would have thought there was reasonable access down to the railway line anyway, with the Longford Legends walk, and I just can't see putting anything on that old flood levee is not going to be a maintenance nightmare. And if we've got time, I think we really need to revisit this. I can just see people coming up with numerous other suggestions, but you know, the mill dam is very fragile. We don't own it. People who are keen enough can walk down there as it is. We've got a plan for it, which is on land we probably lease or manage or what's. But at this stage, I think we're probably rushing in to approve that at the moment.
You've already spoken,
I just
Councillor
want
Brooks.
a point of clarification.
Right.
To the works manager, if I was in a wheelchair today, could I access down to the on top where the train bridge is? I could access that right now without going down that ramp, couldn't I? On the current track
On the
that's
current
there.
footpath, but you couldn't go any further.
Yes, that's right. So we're not going any further with this path.
We'll actually have to take the path to
To
the
the
railway.
train, yeah, that's right. So we're not going any further than what I could access now in a wheelchair. Thanks, you've answered the question.
All right, Councillor McCullough.
Yeah, I don't think I can support this in its current format. I think we need to revisit it. I think we could be spending the money on renovating our existing footpaths that are in need. I think we should be looking to sort of gold plate what we've got already and make it spent wisely. I was a bit miffed. We were told this money was going to disappear. Now it's back again, which I'm thankful for. But I think we should be allocating it to the existing town, not to something that we don't own.
Sorry, man, may I correct that? The money's never disappeared.
No, we were told, as I understood it, that we were going to lose the money if we didn't spend it on the town, whatever. Is that not correct?
No, that's not correct. We need to spend it on the town and we're looking to identify an opportunity for it. Sorry.
We were told that
We were
we had to
told.
spend the
Excuse me, one at
money
a time.
between the
Excuse me, Councillor
bottom
Brooks.
hotel and Sticky
Excuse
Beaks
me,
corner.
Councillor Brooks. Councillor McCullough is speaking.
Yeah, we were told that if we didn't spend it on the Longford beautification scheme, the money would be lost. I thought I was told.
Yeah.
General Manager can answer that.
Well, Madam Mayor, that's what we've targeted, and we went and asked that question if we could actually incorporate this project in. And then we went and asked the funding body that question, and you'll see that that's even identified within the report.
So therefore I was misled.
No, I'm sorry.
we asked
No, I was
council to
misled
do
because I was told that the funding was going to expire with the Longford beautification scheme, and it wasn't.
No, sorry, Madam Mayor, that was never said.
Well,
All right, I'm going to put the Councillor Adams, you haven't spoken, right, go for it.
Sum up. Well, this money's got to be spent on Pacific project. Can't put it into footpaths that I understand.
That's exactly what you're doing.
Excuse me,
Well,
Councillor Brooks, please.
footpath.
Councillor Adams is speaking, please refrain.
State Growth owns the main road, and if you're going to put a crossing across there, you've got to get permission from them. There's a whole range of those things. We're going to reach the stage where this money will go because nobody wants to put their hand into it. So when we lose 1.3 million and, you talk to the ratepayers about where the money comes from to do other things, that's what we'll have to do.
Okay, I'm going to put the recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Those against?
Aye.
Councillor Terrett, Councillor McCullough, Councillor Brooks. Against?
Can I just
Oh yes, let's have a look at it.
I'm just reading what's up there.
That council note this report and endorse the allocation of $1,393,628 of the $4 million community development grant to the shared development of a shared pathway from Longford Village Green to the Mill Dam, and C, subject to community consultation prior to the endorsement of plans by council.
I'd have to vote against that. Thanks.
Okay, so those against, please put your hand up. Councillor Terrett, Councillor McCullough, Councillor Archer and Councillor Brooks. Because there's only 8 of us here, it's a lost motion. We don't need a positive one?
No.
No, that's fine.
Next item.
Okay. 14.2, Communities for Walkability, Evandale report, and the recommendation here is that council note the report and B, identify report recommendations, and in particular, the recommendation relating to street furniture and footpath replacements for incorporation into the 24-25 budget for consideration.
Recommended with an additional C.
Yes.
Is that council include the consultant's quote of 15,350 in the council's 24-25 budget deliberations. It's actually
Is that the amount that they were preparing for the? Yes, yes.
Actually not in.
Okay, can we have a seconder, Councillor McCullough? All right, would you wish to speak to it, Councillor Terrett?
No, I think it
No?
speaks for itself. I think it's something that we're very fortunate we've had experts actually giving some feedback in relation to the walkability of Evandale, and I think it would be a very good project for Evandale in the long term.
Madam Mayor, sorry, I would question then part B, because I wouldn't be putting staff resources into the project if we're going to engage a consultant to further review the report and come up with another report. What we were suggesting there, that perhaps the money didn't need to be spent. The council can obviously put in if they wish, that officers would actually review the report and come up with, identify the various project items or stage items that need to be done, and then incorporate those in the budget for your consideration. You may do those over a number of years, depending on the costs involved.
Okay, I'll amend my motion then in light of that to as it was without the C.
Without the C?
Because I think it's such an important project, wouldn't like to see it.
The seconder, Councillor McCullough, you're happy with that? Okay, Councillor Adams.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why was Evandale chosen for this project? Do we know that?
UTAS showed, they did several
The
towns.
report that then says you can do this and council can spend more money.
Yeah.
I don't know how much input we had. They never came here and gave us a report on it. So I think, getting this stuff and, done and then, council carry the cost, I think we've got to be very, very dubious about that. They didn't come to an industrial town like Longford and do it, and went to Evandale. Well, I'm very dubious, and then they're saying we spent $15,000, and we've got a councillor that says, yeah, we'll spend $15,000 and tack it on. Well,
Please be respectful of others.
I think, you've got to question sometimes the motivation.
Councillor Lambert, sorry, did you wish to speak?
Yeah, I was just going to reiterate again that we'll come up with a stage program, and then it'll be up to you as elected members to endorse whatever you think is the appropriate way to stage the work, if you think anything should be done at all.
Councillor Lambert.
I'd just like to say there's some really practical and good ideas in this report that will benefit the town and the people who live in that town. I absolutely support the recommendation there that we should go ahead with this and get that into the budget. There's some great things in here for the town of Evandale. And regardless of why Evandale ended up being chosen for this report and this study, they were. And I think it's a great report. There's some great outcomes for Evandale, and things that I would imagine perhaps our district committee may have come up with at some point in time, some of them. Anyway, so because they're looking for ways to improve their town. So I think someone else has done the work for us. We should embrace it. And
no further discussion. I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. The Longford Rail Bridge Pillar Restoration Project. Have you got your piece of paper Councillor Adams, it's on the board, on that board, clipboard? Yeah, this one here. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we have a recommendation that council note the report and continue to seek additional funding along with incorporating the outstanding amount in the 24-25 budget for consideration. The mover and the seconder. Councillor Archer and Councillor Andrews. Okay, any discussion? Councillor Archer.
Look, after reading through it all, I had some concern that obviously dealing with Tasrail is difficult, getting extra money, but there seems to be a bit of stalling in this project. I think Councillor Terrett might have sent through something about whether this quote was for 4 columns or for 2. I'd like to know that for a start. And there's an end date here we've got to look at with this. So I think there's some issues, problems with it. I'm a historic, interest in history myself. I just can't get too enthused about council putting a huge amount of money into it, I'm afraid. I think basically we've got other things to spend money on. I thought the original pillars were fantastic, probably a bit over the top, but anyway. And yeah, I'd just like to know, is that quote for the 4 or, because I can't see the...
For 2.
For 2, just this end.
And that's only the design and production.
Yeah.
That's for 2.
Originally it was for installation, but that's changed as well, I think.
Yeah.
That's 121,751 for 2 pillars designed and produced.
Councillor Lambert.
I can't support the project. I'm really sorry. I'm all for history and all of that, and I think they've done a great job getting the 50,000 commitment from Tasrail, but their other fundraising has fallen flat. I just think there are so many other more important things that we should be spending our money on. I applaud the work that the committee's done. I think they've done a fantastic job to get this far, but there just seems to be so much unknown around how much things are going to cost, and I just think there's a lot of better things that we could be spending our money on at this point in time.
Is that grant specific to the pillars?
Yes.
Not the
Not the bridge itself, no.
Okay.
No. It was a project for the 150th anniversary of trains in Tasmania, and it was prior to COVID, and the quotes were all quite reasonable then, and Tasrail worked extremely well with that committee. They attended all the meetings, but COVID just blew everything out of the water and held it all up. So, sorry, Councillor Andrews.
I just think it'd be a shame to let this one go now. There's been so much work done with this and by volunteers, history buffs in our community, and people who haven't grown up here don't realise the significance of those 2 gorgeous, extravagant pillars. When in times past, the postcards of Longford were of the railway bridge with the pillars. It's a legendary part of this part of the world, and I think it'd be a shame to let it go after all the work that's been done so far.
Now, I just apologise. Councillor McCullough, you had your hand up before.
I can't support this. I think that the price is excessive. I think, well, they might have been glorious in their heyday. I don't think we need to embrace them today. I think we can probably do better with the money.
Councillor Terrett.
I have some concerns in relation to, one, that it's on Tasrail's land, but the ongoing maintenance of these pillars is also a concern, and
that's Tasrail's.
Tasrail's land. So
yeah, Tasrail are going to maintain.
Yeah, well, their evidence on how they've maintained the bridge hasn't been good today. The idea of the project was very good at the time. We now moved on many years, and in fact, I have some concerns about the cost. In the December meeting of the committee, they were talking of a cost of $206,000 for 2 pillars. That's now changed. The original grant application, I believe, and I would stand corrected, that was for the restoration of 4 pillars. Now we're down to 2. It's only half the project, and I would just have concerns in the long term that should we pass this in a year or a couple of years down the track, somebody would like to see the whole project finished, and we'll be up for another 200, maybe 300,000, whatever it is in the future. and that'll be forked out by the ratepayers. I would actually support having an interpretive panel put down somewhere so that people can see what the bridge was like, and there was some history. When those pillars were taken out in 1967 to make way for the Poatina development, it always makes me wonder, with the way that Longford and the surrounding areas are developing, whether that would also be required in future. And the reason it was taken down is part of the history of the pillars as well.
And I can clarify one thing you said there. The 4 pillars were originally requested, but Tasrail right at the very start said it'll only be 2.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Archer, would you like to sum up?
I just wonder whether there's any urgency. I mean, I would hate to say to this committee, no, but there's got to be some timeframes and some cost restrictions put on it. Now, if they can't come up in 2 months with a defined budget, which we can then vote on, we're kind of snuffing them out pretty quickly. So my preference would be that where it says B, continue to seek additional funding, that the committee seek additional funding up until a certain point. I just think I've got to have an end point here where we say no. So somehow we
add that
can
into your motion.
Well, I don't think we need to seek additional funding. I think the committee needs to seek additional funding.
Yep.
And that we want this to be finalised by a certain date, which the General Manager might be able to suggest what that would be.
I think it's when council's finalising the budget at that stage, when council can start considering budget.
Just gives the committee, I think, a little bit more time to rethink things and perhaps not stuff them out quite as coldly. That's probably the way to go.
So Councillor Terrett's got a question.
The General Manager, I believe the 50,000 grant, there is a time frame on that one to October of this year, if I correct remember of that. And this was originally had a number of extensions put on this grant, so we actually do have a time frame.
Yeah, I agree. Well, that's right. I said we could say by the end of May, for example, unless the committee can come up with some firm quotes and hopefully some extra funding, we will snuff it out. I mean, that's basically it.
It's only getting worse.
Okay, so I'm going to put that recommendation. I need to be able to read it. Hang on a second. The council note the report and the committee seek additional funding to be established prior to the 31st of May 2024, along with incorporating the outstanding amount in the 24-25 budget for consideration. It's not committing, it's for consideration. Yes, wish to speak?
I just wondered, as a consideration, obviously they've got 50,000 from the state government, got 50,000 from Tasrail, and I just wonder if council sort of gave them an indication that they'd probably be prepared to put in 50, and then they've got something to work out how much more they need from other bodies.
Do we know they got 50 from the state government?
Yeah, it says in here.
Yes.
Oh, okay, beg your pardon. Beg your pardon.
Sorry, Mr.
Yes.
I think the issue here is they can't come up with a final costing.
That's right.
And that's this pressure's got to be put onto that because this could go on forever. And if Perth Composites come up with a quote, seems to be no other option. So I think that 31st of May is, if they come up with the funds and the final cost, we can consider it.
For the remaining
Yeah.
cost.
Yeah.
And Ms Bricknell can explain any budget considerations at the time. Yes. Okay.
That $50,000 doesn't dissipate with the new election, because that was an election promise from 2021.
Yeah, no, it won't go away.
Okay.
No. Okay, I need to put that motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Okay. Councillor Terrett, Councillor McCullough, Councillor Lambert and Councillor Brooks. That means it's lost. Okay, we'll call Councillor Adams back. Just put that back in there. Oh, good, thanks, Marie. Thank you. Not destroying
Oh, sorry, no, that's a little bit unfair. That's a little bit unfair, guys. It's a little bit unfair.
Okay, 14.4, thank you. The review of local district committee structure. And there's a recommendation there that council accept and endorse the further proposed changes to the local district committee memorandum of understanding as attached, and the memorandum of understanding be sent to the local district committees for information, and C, this memorandum of understanding be effective from the commencement of the 24 to 26 membership term of the local district committees. So I need a mover and a seconder. Councillor Archer. And a seconder, please. Councillor Adams. Right, any discussion? Councillor Archer.
I haven't been on council long, but I can see we need some fairly strict rules in regards to this. And obviously each committee might be different, but this could go on forever if we don't come up with something solid. And I would like to commend all those involved in coming up with this. It obviously can be changed in the future, but I think this is a really good grounding for the next 2 years. And even though we will probably get some criticism from some quarters, I think it's a good decision to go ahead with.
Councillor Adams.
I just said the same thing, and I think, a review in 2 years as we've done in the past, so, yep.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Councillor Terrence against? Carried. Monthly financial statement. Ms. Becknell, do you have anything to tell us? The recommendation is that council receive receive and note the monthly financial report for the period ending the 29th of February 2024 and authorise budget 23 to 24 alterations as listed in item 4. Councillor McCullough, you're moving. Have a seconder. Councillor Adams, any discussion? No? I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Carried. 15.2, the Canara Park proposal. And there's a recommendation there that council accept the ownership and control of the state growth land known as Canara Park for community purposes and restrict vehicle access to the site, including the playground area. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Terrett, you're moving, and Councillor McCullough is seconding. Right, any discussion? Councillor Adams, you had your hand up. No? Right. Councillor Archer?
I just read it all and there seemed to be something about a licence somewhere. Was that for this or a licence for the playground or rather than ownership? Was that an option we had?
Yes, we can have a licence for that area instead of ownership if that's what we decide. I guess the main paragraph in the report is that State Growth came back to us after our last decision and said if council will therefore not be proceeding with negotiating a Crown land lease for the Canara Park playground equipment and will instead arrange for the playground equipment and other council assets at the site to be relocated to another site within the agreed time frame. So that's what they've come back to. So if we don't, in other words, if we don't lease it or take ownership of it, then we have to remove our...
And this doesn't include the bottom bit though, which they're saying is going to be turned back for recreation, or is it the whole area?
It is the clear park area where we've got our sign, Canara Park train sign, and the playground area and the car park above the playground area.
So it's not the bottom bit which they say they're going to do for conservation purposes?
No, not that.
Right, okay.
Okay, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Against? Carried. 15.3, St Giles Rates Matter, 9 Nevin Street, Rossarden. And the recommendation is that council immediately commence the process to sell the property known as 9 Nevin Street of Rossarden and for unpaid rates under section 137 of the Local Government Act. Councillor Lambert.
I'd like to move a motion that council immediately commence the process to sell the property known as 9 Nevin Street at Ross for unpaid rates under section 137 of the Local Government Act, and refund the amount of rates paid by St Giles.
Second
Councillor McCullough seconding that. Okay, any further discussion? No, I'll put the recommendation. All those in favour? Aye. Against? Carried. Okay, works report about parking in Coachman's Road and Sadler's Court, Evandale. The recommendation is that no further action be taken at this time other than continue to monitor the area. Councillor Terrett, you're moving
I'd like to move a different motion, that council conduct consultation with the residents of Coachman's and Sadler's Court for further restrictive, possibly restrictive parking requirements for a Sunday.
Is there a seconder to that motion? No, that motion lapses for lack of a seconder. Councillor Adams is moving the first motion. Is there a seconder for that first motion? The one that's on the...
Sorry, what's the, I haven't, what's the full motion before?
So the motion is that council, that no further action be taken at this time other than continue to monitor the area.
No, the other one that was half written.
Oh, that was
Councillor
Councillor Sarah putting a different motion altogether.
Yeah, but it hasn't been finished, so.
No, because it was...
We're typing off the board.
It has been typed up.
Oh, okay, I beg your
It's
pardon,
still-
because I
yeah,
can't,
it's not a
see, I
complete
can't see.
motion.
I can't see behind me.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's not a complete motion, so
All right, we'll
before
wait
we
till
move
that's-
on, I'd like to see.
Rightio.
Sorry, Nick. Carry on.
To further considering parking restrictions on Sunday.
Okay, I'll read that motion out, is that correct? Right. The council conducts consultation with residents of Coachman's Road and Sadler's Court to further consider parking restrictions on Sundays. And then I needed to know, you're seconding that one? Okay, so that'll be the live motion. Do you wish to speak to it?
Just speaking, the last consultation that occurred was in 2017, and in the attachments there were 2 letters from residents opposed to it. I've been contacted by a number of people in Sadler's Court that it's causing problems. My particular concern also is in relation to emergency vehicles. Should an emergency occur on a Sunday and the width of the road and passing, on a few occasions people have had their driveways blocked by people. I certainly think that we need to talk to people in that area. The markets are continually getting busier, and not everybody parks in the car park, which is unfortunate, which has been for Evandale, and that we need to go back to the community and ask them and consult with them to see whether they would like to have additional parking restrictions on the Sunday during the market times, particularly given that the population in 7 years has certainly changed. A lot of people would have been there, but there's also a lot of new people, and some of these concerns may have changed in that 7 years. A total, really, only in the last time those 2 letters, we had 6 people sign 1 letter and 1 from a single resident. So 7 people making a decision or being influenced, council being influenced almost 7 years ago by 7 people. I don't feel that we can make a decision not to do anything further. It is a concern, and continuing will be a concern. I'd hate to see that an emergency vehicle is unable or restricted to get into people's properties as a consequence, and therefore speaking to the residents in that area would be an ideal way of proceeding.
Any further conversation? Okay, Councillor Archer.
Perhaps I'd just like, I know as a works manager, just like to say, has there been any consultation in the last 7 years?
The engineering officer has spoken to some people over there before. They've actually made calls about having no parking on the opposite side of their property, not in front of their property. So that's where the headache lies with all this. It's who you take the parking away from. Some will say they don't want parking in front of their place, which is fantastic, but most of them actually want to know parking on the opposite side to where they live.
I don't think there's too many.
Councillor Adams.
I don't think there's too many winners out of this. I don't, the solution is that, there's a lot of pressure on the streets over there on a Sunday when the market's on. We've looked at other solutions but haven't found anything really. And unless there's a car park, off-street car parking, which I think is the only solution. And, there's a cost in that. So, you can consult with members, consult with their residents. Some will want this and some will want something else. And they'll want it on the other side of the street and not on their street. And that sort of thing. So I don't know where you'll go with it. You can consult. And, you can get a result back in a report and you put in those effort and, you put in and you spend the money, the council money doing this without really knowing what the outcome's going to be.
And it's very hard to convince people that parking around the hall is actually not such a big walk. It's perception. Councillor Lambert. Councillor Lambert.
Could perhaps we go, if this gets up, this consultation, go with a plan, a suggested plan of what council believes would be the safest option? So when we consult, we've actually got something to show them and say, well, this is what we believe is the safest option and give them the reasons why. Would that be something we could do? To help? Because then you're giving them a clear guidance on what council sees as safe.
Well, Madam Mayor, we can easily do that. I think we've just got to suggest that it's going to be one side of the road, it's going to be no parking.
Yes.
And that's probably the safest way anyway.
Yes.
But it needs to be clearly identified and pick the best side to put it on.
If we can do it under safety grounds, I don't know whether
Yeah.
it might help clarify things that, someone might have to say, well, okay, it's going to be on my side, but I can understand why it's safer to have it there than it is to have it on that side. So if they can see that, well, then maybe they can be convinced that those few hours.
I hear what you're saying, councillor, but they may not see it that way because it can apply when you're doing one side. Usually, it's giving one side or the other.
I understand. I'm just trying to find a way that we can go to the residents with a plan and a reason why we put that plan forward.
Yes.
Safety would be the obvious one.
Councillor Garlick.
Well, why can't we alternate it every Sunday, one side of the street and the other side of the street?
Oh, goodness.
I saw it today.
That's the thought, thanks.
It's your bloody turn.
Okay,
Share the love.
I'll put that recommendation. All those in favour?
Aye.
Against? Aye. It's carried.
Good luck, mate.
That's it. We're going to move into closed council.
Get your clipboard under your arm, mate. Start going.